Relationship management. Oh my God. As HR professionals, we preach it, we talk about it because, again, there is no way people can be in the organization without forming relationships. But sometimes, bleep, we are at loss as how to do proper relationship management, especially when we begin to navigate even more senior positions in our careers. Welcome to the HR Growth Network podcast. My name is Olutoyin Williams. I am your host. And in this special series of podcasts, we're talking to HR professionals who are trying to navigate more senior levels of their career. And we're giving them all of the tips, tools, and strategies that they need in order to be able to get into those senior roles. Welcome to the podcast. In this episode, we're going to be talking about relationship management. I know you're not new to this concept of relationship management, but is it possible that you could have been going about your relationship management the wrong way? Let's delve into it. What type of relationships do you need to manage and maintain in order for you to rise in your HR career? Who do we need to be friends with? What kind of relationship should we have with them? How do we maintain that friendship? I'll use myself as an example. As a busy wife, mom, daughter, friend, sister, who's an HR professional as well, my time is grossly limited. I have 10,000 demands on my time, but I also want to cultivate the right relationship and manage the right relationships in order to continue to grow in my career. How do I do that? For a number of people, we can assume this sort of a straight as a ruler approach, which is that, it's work, home, and maybe religious activities. And then I only, a few friends that I let into my circle. But as you grow up in your career, as you begin to navigate more higher positions of your HR career, you do have to be able to invest the right time and the right amount of energy in relationships that needs to be managed. First off is also establishing who should be in your network. Are we looking at creating a network of only people that can benefit us? How are you making yourself available to benefit others? Are we looking at maintaining a relationship with only people who might be able to help us when we need to change jobs, when we need to get a promotion? How are you building a network of allies and sponsors? How are you building a network that is up to people who you're obviously not on the same foothold with? And then how are you building that network that cuts across a broad sector of people? How are you doing that? Do you have a strategy for it? Are you being deliberate about it? Or it's just going to happen? Friends, it's never going to happen. It's never going to happen. You are busy. You're busy with work. You're busy with home. You're busy with, if you're married, you're busy with marriage. If you have a family with kids, you're busy with kids. You're busy being a daughter. You're busy being a friend. You're busy being a cousin, a sister. You're busy being an aunt. You're busy doing all of these other roles in your life that if you're not careful, you won't have time to develop and cultivate the right relationships that you need, because no man is an island unto himself. You need to have the right people in your corner. So how do you do this? The first step is you have to be intentional. You have to be intentional in saying, you know what, I want to expand my network. And this conversation, it cannot be hard, it cannot be hard if we don't take into consideration that people have a broader identity beyond being an HR professional. And if you've listened to any of my podcasts before, you would have seen that I am a mom, I am a wife, I'm a sister, I'm a friend, I'm a cousin, I'm a daughter, I'm an aunt. All of those roles of my life are roles that I play, and I play them joyfully. But I'm also a senior HR professional, and I am still invested in seeing my career growing. So how do I make space intentionally in order to be able to grow? The very first thing is to decide that I actually want to grow. You might think that's a bit of a given, but I have interacted with many HR professionals, and sometimes you just find that time has passed. Time has passed and you haven't been as intentional as you could have been. So let's tackle this once and for all. Let's determine now that you're going to be that HR professional who is broad enough to understand that your identity isn't just one, which is being an HR professional. Your identity also includes you being a mom, a wife, an aunt, a cousin, a daughter, a friend. And as such, because you've got that and you've got those demands on your time, yet you have this goal of being a successful HR person, you're then going to look at how do you share out your time? What day of the week? When are you going to invest in networking? Where are you going to start from? What networks do you want to belong to? Who do you want to personally reach out to? LinkedIn is the platform of choice for professionals. Are you active on LinkedIn? What kind of content do you put out on LinkedIn? Of course, I'm not asking you to become a content creator or anything like that on top of your day job and on top of your aspirations and all of that. But then, what are you known for? What do you speak for? What topics do you lend your voice to? Again, the more senior you are in your career, I assume you can actually sit down with a younger content developer or a content creator to say, these are the things I'm thinking about. Can you give me a rough draft and then I can work on it? Something like that. Can you manage my social media for me? Something like that. Because again, life is happening, but you want to be able to be intentional about your networks, about the relationships you're cultivating. And one of those first relationships are the relationships that you meet with people who have no idea of who you are and they're just getting introduced to you by reading something that you've put out. You want to make sure that whatever you're putting out is representative of what you truly think. So you want to work on that. So that's offline, right? So that's online. Let's talk about the offline engagements. The people you work with. If you were not in the room, would they say you were somebody that was easy to get along with? Are you someone whose presence is welcoming? Are you someone who makes people feel at ease when they are with you? Or are you someone who's constantly got their guards up? There's something to defend. There's something to fight for. Is that you? And this is the sort of questions I want you to ask yourself, because now that you're thinking about being more intentional about building your relationships, you have to be able to determine, how do people perceive me? Do I talk too much or do I talk too little? When I talk, am I antagonistic or am I trying to be a people pleaser? Am I known for stating my mind, but stating my mind respectfully? Am I cantankerous? Am I always looking for the next argument? Am I looking for how to get my point across? Is there something I have to prove? How do people feel in my presence? An indicator of this could be how well people confide in you. I know by virtue of your role as an HR professional, people will tell you things, right? But then do people tell you stuff? That stuff. Do they tell you? If people don't tell you stuff, that's not to say that, shame on you or anything like that. But do you make people feel at ease enough for them to feel that you can keep confidential information. They can trust you. And I know that the average HR person has the persona of someone who is personable, someone who loves people, someone who is, caring about others, and people sense that. And as such, they relate with that. Now, how do you maintain those relationships? Do you make time to invest in that relationship? Do you make time to sort of, invest in that relationship? Do you follow up with people when you don't see people? Do you follow up with them? Oh, I expected you at so and so. I didn't see you. Is everything okay? I'm just calling to check in. It could be a text, it could be a call, it could be an email. It's not everything official. It's more around you cultivating the relationship. Do you do that? If you say, Olutoyin, I mean, this is nice, it sounds okay, but I am busy. I've got 10,000 other things to do. On top of that, I'm going back to school. On top of that, I'm taking this course. On top of that, I'm shepherding this particular group. On top of that, I'm working on this. It's possible that you could have shared yourself out into so many places. But the question is, all of those investments of your time, are they yielding? Are they yielding what you want? Are you beginning to get the rewards from them? In terms of, people trusting you more, you have a network of people. When you are in trouble, who can you call? Have you got a network of people that when you're in trouble, you can call? That's how you know. And then when people are in trouble, do people call you? That's how you know. So I'm going to give you, in my typical fashion, I'm going to give you your assignment for this week. From this episode, I want you to do an x-ray of your current list of friends and networks and acquaintances and everyone who's relating with you. How many of them would seek you out as a confidant? How many of them would find you if they are in trouble? How many of them would you call when you need a friend? How did you start those relationships? How are you nurturing those relationships? That's the assignment I want to give you this week. And I hope you accept it. Again, this podcast series is focused on supporting senior HR people who are looking to accelerate and advance their careers. And we're going to be talking, as we have been talking, about series of specific things that they can do in order to better position themselves and be ready for senior HR roles. I hope you have enjoyed listening to this podcast. You can find us on Spotify and you can find us on YouTube. If you've got a comment, I'm happy to take your comment either on these platforms, or you can find me on LinkedIn at Olutoyin Williams. If you're interested in any of our coaching programs, please find more information from www.olutoyinwilliams.co.uk. Till I come your way again, see you next time.